Welcome to Side by Side Games. I'm Alokin, an advanced gamer.
And I am Oceanwolv, a casual gamer.
We're a husband and wife duo reviewing video games from different gamer perspectives to help you and your person find your next two-player game.
We discuss pros and cons and then break down the game into 4 categories: co-op ability, production quality, gameplay mechanics, and overall fun.
Let's get into it.
We are going to be reviewing Yoshi's Woolly World, and I am super excited specifically for this one because this is my favorite game of all time because it's literally so cute.
Wow, big spoiler there.
I know. Spoiler alert is my favorite game. The TLDR of this game is that it's an adorable and accessible platformer with charming visuals and fun co-op mechanics, though its short length, simple gameplay, and clunky aiming features left us wanting more.
And a quick overview for Yoshi's Woolly World. We purchased this brand new quite a few years ago on the Wii U. We paid $50 for it. We spent about a week and a half playing this to beat it. We also played a little bit extra because we wanted to get a lot of the extra outfits and the costumes and stuff that were part of the game. This is a couch co-op platformer. We bought it on Nintendo. And a little bit about the game is Yoshi's Woolly World is a dyed-in-the-wool platformer that's bursting with color and texture, exploring a material world with Yoshi, and this time the world is made entirely of wool.
Starting with the review, as always, we have the pros and cons list. My pros starts with that this is the cutest game ever. I love Yoshi. I think that it's just so cute, like undeniably cute, which is a big pro. That's like what I look for in a game. And then the second pro that I have listed is that I feel like it's a long and complex game. It has a lot of worlds, and I feel that the complexity comes in from you're not just collecting stars, like you're collecting yarn balls, flowers, like badges. So I like that. And then you also get to unlock skins, which we can later on talk about later. And then my last pro is that it has accessible gameplay.
Nice. It's funny that your pros are actually some of my cons later, so I think we saw the game a little bit differently. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But pros for me is I thought that the approach of the game was really friendly, especially having features like the wings. I thought it was good for both casual and advanced gamers. I also like that the story expanded the Yoshi lore and story a little bit more because we don't get to see that in the Mario games, but it doesn't feel like pushed. Like they're not making just some random world. It actually fits really
Yeah.
nicely with Yoshi. And then I also felt, although it's an incredibly cute game, it's actually a pretty robust platformer. All the mechanics of a really good platformer that you want when you're playing something this complex.
With the cons, I wrote down that the co op mode requires really high coordination ability between each other. And that's a con just because it might not be for everyone. The second con I feel is because there's some minor mechanics that don't really feel intuitive. So you have to do like the effort to really learn the mechanic. And then the third con is that there are no sequels. other
Yeah,
than other than the
crafted world,
Yoshi
yeah.
crafted world, there's no more sequels. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like Yoshi's such a beloved character. Like I why can't there just be more?
Yeah, yeah. There hasn't been a new Yoshi game in
I
5 years, and or
know.
6 years now and counting. Yeah, I totally agree. There should be another one. It should be a series. The cons for me, I put one of the main things I didn't like about this game was actually the aiming feature for the yarn balls. I felt
Hmm.
that it was really clunky and the game felt really smooth, except for the aiming feature, which when you did it, it felt really clunky. And I also felt like it was a little too short. I felt like it's such a fun game that when you're really starting to like, oh my gosh, I'm really getting this game, then it also feels like it's just a little too short. And I wish that there was just a bit more in depth for replayability, in the sense that sometimes like Mario games or even like Rayman, they have like, these other modes where you can just like play for fun, and it doesn't have
Oh
anything
yeah,
to
I
do with
see
the
what you're
game or the
saying.
platform. They're just like fun modes, and I felt like Yoshi could have. It could have been fun to do something like an egg hunt or something,
Like
because
with
he
the
likes to
mini
eat like
games.
mini games. Yeah, I think it could have been pretty fun. So those are my
Yeah, I can
cons.
see that for
Just for
sure.
replayability. All right, so we're going to kick off the review just like normal with going through co-op ability. And this is how well the game supports teamwork and collaboration between players. The rating I gave it was a 5 out of 10, which is a fair, really average, middle of the pack, because I wrote, you cannot go wrong with a couple of Yoshis running around and completing the level. I also really love at the end of each level, you get to have this really big celebration, and it's just way more fun with having a partner. I also like in the game that you can share the wool balls together. You can throw them at each other. I think that there are even times where we would hit that little item to give you wool balls, and we would just keep throwing at each other
Yeah, just to mess
just to
around.
mess around. And I thought that was a funny thing. And I also really like in the game that you can help save each other from lives lost, like just like similar with other Mario games, where if you fall into a hole or something, you can come back if your teammate saves you, which I really love. So I didn't give this a high score just because I don't think it requires a level of co-op to beat the game and play the game. You can actually play it solo and beat it, but it's certainly a lot more fun with people. So I just put this as a fair rating, a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I do feel like I have a similar rating, but for different reasons. I put a 6 out of 10 as their co op ability. The interactive co op that Yoshi's Woolly World has lets you collide, help, or hinder each other through challenges, which can be a pro and a con in and of itself, but
Yeah.
it is fun and dynamic in that way. So, efficient teamwork and coordination are key. Like, you have to, they're not just key, they are required
Yeah.
to play this type of co op mode. And so it really does simulate that real life proximity between you and your partner because it can either be chaotic or complementary or both. And so this co op
Yeah.
mode may not be for everyone, which is why I rated it a little bit lower, but because it does require dexterity and game awareness, but it is easy to adapt to. So that's why I feel
Mm.
like it doesn't need work because this is their co-op mode that they like and that they're encouraging, but it does take some effort to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's just if it's for you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also agree. I don't think it needs work. I think it's just fine. So with your rating of a 6 and my rating of a 5, our total here is a 5.5 out of 10 for co-op ability.
Yeah, which labels it as a fair co-op ability category. The next the next category we are talking about is production quality, and this is reviewing Yoshi Woolly World's design, artwork, components, and overall craft of the game's materials. I rated this a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
I love the design and artwork. It is my favorite game, like artwork, in terms of cuteness overload and accessible UI. And it's so easy to look at and learn.
Yeah.
So, like Yoshi in Yarn, come on. Like, it's absolutely adorable. And playing it makes me feel so happy and homey.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the detailed tutorials and visual instructions. Like, I'm a very repetitive learner, which means I need to reread things all the
Yeah.
time and look at things for the information to really land with me. And so, Yoshi Woolly World really caters to my type of learning style.
Mm.
And then also, you get to unlock different Yoshi skins after every level, which you all know I am obsessed with. So that is why I gave it a 10 out of 10.
That's awesome. That's a great score. It is a really beautiful game. And that is why, for me, I put it a 7 out of 10. I just think the art style is so cute. Same to what you said. Like, it still holds up. It's really hard to
Yeah.
believe that this game came out like 10 years ago. And the artwork still holds up
Mm.
and it's super approachable, still cute.
When you say it still holds up, it's because they created it for Yoshi. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's so Yoshi that you, like what you said earlier, is you don't really feel like it's it's just an extension of the Yoshi lore.
Yeah.
And so that's why it feels like it's just so on point.
Yeah. If somebody, for Yoshi's Woolly World, if this exact game were to come out next year, I'd just be like, okay, yeah, it makes
Mhm.
sense. It seems like the way that they designed it is like classic, it's time tested, so it doesn't fall within a trend, which
I
means that if it were to come out next year, it would still look like it's part of the games that would come out in the next year.
Yeah.
I think that the production quality is really friendly for any person who wants to have a challenge in a platformer, but also wants a really cute style, which I think is perfect for you. I think it does a great job of expanding the Yoshi universe too. I love that you also have all these multiple outfits that you can unlock, and you also have these like small power-ups that you can have as you go into each level that you earn. And they don't really change the full outcome of the game, but it just adds another flavor of fun to the game. Like the big wool balls,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
or
That's
like not
true.
being able to fall into a hole and
Yeah,
lose a life. Like those types of power-ups I thought were really great.
yeah. The production quality really does so far, like in your review, is it's the little details or the little enhancements that really make the game.
Yep, absolutely.
So with my rating on production quality a 10 out of 10 and Alokin's rating a 7 out of 10, overall we are rating Yoshi Woolly World's production quality as an 8.5.
It's a great one. It's great production quality.
Yeah.
All right, the next category we're going to review is gameplay mechanics, and this is the game's rules, flow, balance, and how engaging and intuitive the gameplay feels. For this one, I rated it a 7 out of 10. I put the game is so easy to learn, you could have loaded up and played immediately. It takes all the knowledge from every other platform that you've ever played on Nintendo and it integrates it into Yoshi. The game slowly levels up as the difficulty increases, and there are also really fun like hidden areas. There's big
Yeah.
jumps, big drops, and a lot of variety of levels. It has all the
Hmm.
classics of a platformer. The only aspect I felt could be improved was the tossing of the yarn balls, and this is one of my big cons. It's also why the score is not higher, is because when you do start throwing the yarn balls, it locks you into a specific spot, so you can't toss it. And so if you're a kind of person who likes to move around a lot in a platform game, you can't run and aim at the same time. You have to stay still and you have to aim it, and sometimes it can be very clunky. It slows you down. So I just wish that you could toss it as you ran and integrate it as part of your gameplay instead of having it be another part.
Literally, I 100% agree. And that's why my rating is also a 7 out of 10, and why I didn't rate it any further because of the yarn ball mechanic. That was the major thing that I had a problem with in this
Yeah,
game, is
you
like
did struggle with it
it
quite a bit.
like the whole time, because it was like it required so much dexterity,
Yeah,
and I think maybe I don't really have that upskilled, really. Like
yeah.
I had to, because the mechanic is that you have to hold down a button. I don't know which one that was anymore. And then you have to,
Aim it with the joystick.
exactly. And so doing two separate mechanics like that while you're looking on the screen trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
what to aim, because a lot of times what you're aiming at is moving.
Yeah.
So that is like a lot of skill in order to have and to succeed at throwing yarn balls. So I struggled with that the entire game,
Mm.
which is why the gameplay mechanic overall is not any further than a 7. But even with that rating, it's still pretty high
Yeah.
because the mechanics are easy and balanced for Mario fans in general, of course, but
Yep.
for anyone. But I did say outside of the yarn ball mechanic, Yoshi's jump feels very unintuitive with its
Mm,
dip and rise
mm,
motion. You know what
mm.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was so annoying because sometimes I felt like I was gonna jump and then I did, but then I miscalculated because it's gonna go up and down, or I
Yeah.
don't know. It didn't really feel like I was doing it exactly to my mind. Co-op can be frustrating. The interactive co-op mode can be frustrating when we become each other's obstacles,
Yeah.
like when we accidentally swallow each other when we're actually trying to aim.
Oh, yeah, we did
That
that a
was like
bit sometimes.
pretty frustrating. But with extra communication between each other, the playful mechanics do enhance the teamwork. Like there are challenges where we have to use each other as
Oh,
projectiles.
yeah, yeah.
So even swallowing and spitting each other out in that scenario is part of the gameplay.
Yeah.
But it so yeah.
I did forget about that. That was nice. So with the total of both of us having a 7 out of 10, then that makes our Eva just 7 out of 10 for gameplay mechanics, which I think is a good, it
It's
was
a
good.
solid rating.
Yeah, it was solid.
All right, so the last category that we are reviewing is overall fun of the game, which is how enjoyable and entertaining it was for immediate play and long term replayability.
For me, I gave overall fun an 8 out of 10. I said Nintendo really knows how to make a fun game, and this really is no exception. We played this game completely through, and every level was fun. We were always very pleasantly surprised to find hidden areas too.
Yeah.
It was
Classic Nintendo.
classic Nintendo, classic Mario, like having to go to every wall on the map to try
Yeah,
to see
I
if there's a
know.
secret. The only thing that I felt that could have made this just a bit of extra fun, as I mentioned on top, was just either more levels or like a mini games or just an added increase of difficulty for
Mm,
some levels for advanced players. I did feel that sometimes that because the game was so approachable that some of the levels didn't require that level of like really advanced, like having to memorize an entire level and the timing to get it perfect. Like sometimes you have to do that in Mario, whereas like you don't
yeah.
remember the exact timing, you're not going to beat the level. Whereas I think in Yoshi, it was a little bit more forgiving, and you could
Yeah.
make some
I can
mistakes
see
here and there
that.
and still beat the level. So I wish that there was just a bit more difficulty increase.
Yeah, I understand that. I can see that. I feel because Yoshi is so cute, it is catered more towards like maybe children,
Yeah, that's
you
a great
know?
point. Totally marketed towards kids.
Yeah, so that does make sense why the gameplay is very just open and easy. Yeah.
Yeah, for all ages.
Yeah, it is. My overall rating that I gave Yoshi Woolly World is a 10 out of 10. I said, I feel like if you love Yoshi, the character, or the Mario universe, you do have to play this game.
For sure. For sure. It's a
Like,
must play.
it's just an extension of the Mario universe. Of course, like, you have to play. It is just like playing Mario, it's like the left to right gameplay,
Platformer.
the platformer. It's very, you've done it before, but you're just playing as Yoshi in Yoshi's world.
Yeah.
So it's so fun. It might be a learning curve with the game mechanics and interactive co-op mode that we've been saying in throughout this whole review, but it's not going to stop you and your person from having fun or
Yeah.
progressing in the game. And the world of Yoshi is just so undeniably cute. You get to unlock skin, badges, and find hidden gems. So it is easily replayable. If you miss a couple yarns and if you don't get everything right in every level, you can go back and play that
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be a different and wear a different Yoshi skin.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is replayable in that sense, but I do understand and I do agree that the difficulty level may not necessarily be there in terms of the complexity of like maybe strategy or whatever the case, but overall I do feel like it's a 10 out of 10 on
Yeah.
my end.
This game is really fun. It is a must play.
With Alokin's rating on an 8 out of 10 and mine a 10 out of 10, the overall fun rating is a 9 out of 10, which is considered an.
That's a must play.
So the overall rating of Yoshi Woolly World, when we add up and average all of the categories, it comes to a 7.5 out of 10, which meets the love category. And I think that's a really solid rating.
That is definitely a solid rating. And that's exactly, I think, my experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely loved this game. So just to wrap up the review, this game is incredibly fun and it is a must play. And as we're talking through the review, I just wish the only thing is that Nintendo, please make a sequel to this game.
Literally, we
Please
are begging
add
you.
more, because there's a total market for this. It's just a perfect game for a casual and an advanced gamer to play the same exact game and have fun experiences together.
And the game is meant for all ages. So you could be playing with your nephew or your nibbling or your child or a friend or a parent. It's so good. It's, what is that word? Like, just, it almost feels like a communal game in the sense that anyone can pick this up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be such a fun game to put on at the family gathering or like a friend night.
Yeah.
Or even like a coworker space, like
Yeah.
having a really fun but not competitive game.
Yeah.
So please make more sequels. We need more Yoshi in the world. We hope that this helps you find your next two-player game. If you want a quick rundown of this review, check out our blog in the description. We have more two-player game reviews there so you and your person can find the perfect one.